Hi, welcome to the last episode of Pirate News for 2022. We hope you all have wonderful holidays and a great new year, and that 2023 will be a even better year for all of us. With that, I'm joined by Joe and Steve. How are you two today?
Fantastic. Couldn't be better.
I'm doing all right myself.
Excellent. So our topic today is protect yourself, protect others. And while things are brewing in the land of Twitter, which we'll probably discuss later on, we've got more important things right now. So Joe, would you lead us off on this?
Yeah, so I recently got the opportunity to speak at Haverhill High, which was actually a phenomenal experience for myself. Not only did I get hit with a lot of great questions, it was really a chance to let people know who we are. And one of the things that they asked me was, what's one of the big differentiators between us and other parties? And I would have to say our one of the things that I wish I told them at the time, but I didn't tell them, was that how much privacy and security, individual security, are very important to us, especially as we browse the wide world web. And that was just something that it was a really key feature of us. Obviously, we have associations with anti-copyright, with being pirates, and about being the freeware and that stuff. But that security piece is really, really key. Um, Gentlemen, what are your thoughts on people's security, their privacy, their decency?
Well, my thought is all of that, but I would add the need for more democracy in our country, and that pushing decisions of our government to as low a level as we possibly can so that people can make decisions about their own community themselves, while also recognizing and respecting the rights of others in their community and outside of their community. Um, we live in this constitutional republic, which, as I like to say, is an elected oligarchy where the rich get to pick the candidates. And we, as pirates, harking back to pirates of yore, believe in direct democracy where we should all have a say. And so that's one thing that I would add to that.
Well, again, speaking to the privacy and the decency, or people's individual decency, um, more specifically on the privacy, how we really are against having corporate America stick a camera everywhere, whereas we're constantly under surveillance. I think one of the programs that we regularly partake in, I know you were a big component of it, Jamie, was the camera mapping event. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. We've got a website called cctv.masspirates.org. You can go and see cameras all over the world where people have mapped them in OpenStreetMap, which you think of it as kind of a open source alternative to MapQuest or Google Maps or any other Bing Maps or things like that. And so it allows anyone to create an account and start putting pins on maps or updating the map. And so that's what we've done. We have instructions for how people can easily download, either for Android or for iOS or for just web access, applications to access OpenStreetMaps and be able to go through and map surveillance cameras. That has been useful. Personally, I've mapped things as far afield as Canopy Lake, or the submarine museum down in Connecticut, as well as all over Cambridge, Boston, and other parts of Massachusetts. So it's a useful thing to see what cameras are looking at us, and to get a sense of how surveilled we are in public places.
Yeah, I mean, one of the nice things, the things that I appreciate about, cctv.masspirates.org is, not simply the location and such, but you get an idea of the number of them and the level of concentration in certain areas, and it's it's kind of remarkable. I'll just say that.
I mean, it really, when you look at it, speaking to that concentration part, you see there are certain areas where they're just everywhere. You can't, like, they have you coming and going from like 60 different angles. It's generally unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of places we haven't mapped them. Certainly, the United and this is a worldwide map. OpenStreetMap is worldwide, so you could see cameras in other parts of the world, and I'm sure the United Kingdom, with its hundreds of thousands of cameras, is not, in fact, well represented, sadly. And then I'll see, so you can see it here. You can zoom in to different parts of Boston and see stuff that has been mapped. We had an outing where we went and we mapped the Seaport District. We've had a couple of outings there, and so you can see there's a lot of cameras there.
Yeah, I think that's a good example of like the concentration effect that I was talking about earlier.
And even with all these cameras, it doesn't really stop the crime. Like, people are still going to do whatever it is that they want to do. They just find sneakier ways to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Steve did some research into that, about the effectiveness of it for in the United Kingdom, and how it really didn't help. It didn't prevent crime at all, and where. Well, you can speak to that better than I can, Steve.
Yeah, so it's not my research, it's the UK Home Office's research. But what you said was essentially correct. The cameras did have a small deterrent effect on petty crimes. So stealing stuff out of a car, for example, or or out of a purse or something along those lines. In terms of other things like prostitution, violence, drugs, drunken, disorderly conduct. Yep, no deterrent effect whatsoever.
I mean, there was recently a couple ATM robberies in Massachusetts, and they literally just took a can and sprayed over the cameras. It doesn't stop them from trying to rip open the cameras at all. They're do the crimes. So, they're well noticed, and they're generally accounted for when somebody is trying to do something illegal.
Yeah, well, electrical tape works. As a lot of people with laptops, the idea of posting a little piece of tape over the camera so you can, definitely control when it's able to see and not see something is, that's pretty run of the mill.
So, speaking of cameras and tracking, just to dive into the whole Twitter thing, I guess the FBI is trying to ask Twitter to. Elon Musk made known that the FBI has been trying to get certain people's accounts and stuff like that.
I don't know if I'd characterize it that way. I mean, the big thing, the quote unquote Twitter files, was Musk, I don't know if he hired them or just gave the information to Matt Taibbi and Barry Weiss to be able to go and look through previous communications. But there doesn't seem to be a lot of there. Like one of the things, the first thing that came out was, the Biden campaign and the Trump White House and the Trump campaign have all asked for links, tweets to be taken down. But yet the only ones that he cited were the Biden's campaigns. And when people went to like archive.org and looked up in the Wayback Machine and looked up what those tweets were, they were basically Hunter Biden dick pics. They were non-consensual sharing, which, anyone can go and say, hey, Twitter, this goes against your terms and conditions. You should go and take it down. And since then, the other stuff that's come out, I don't know. It just seems like a big nothing burger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, I mean, the dumpster fire that is Twitter under CEO Elon Musk is just, continues to burn in some remarkable ways. So there's, can I tell a little bit of the story? Is it?
Please
go have at.
Okay, so this, I think you could say this sort of got started with an account run by a fellow named Jack Sweeney. It was called at Elon Jet. But this is, I never followed it, but I understand it did postings about the flights of Elon's private jet. Now, if in the description, one of the links that we'll be including is a link to the FAA's aircraft registry lookup. So basic idea is if you know someone's name, you can look, you could do searches to find an aircraft's tail number. Kind of like the license plate for the aircraft. And once you know a tail number, the FAA has another lookup tool where you can look up flight routes that have been registered for that aircraft. So what this person was doing is essentially using publicly available information from the FAA and tweeting about it. Plane stands, fine. So this irked Mr. Musk, and he apparently had offered Mr. Sweeney $5,000 if he would close his account. Mr. Sweeney refused, and then
when he didn't own Twitter.
Oh, was this before he owned Twitter? Okay,
I believe this is before he owned Twitter.
Okay. So
and he's a college student, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, we'll post a link in the description to an article from the Register that goes into more of this details. But in the last week or two, at Elon Jet was subject to limited visibility, and then I guess the account was suspended. There were a number of journalists with some fairly big news organizations from CNN, NYT, and the Washington Post, who's had journalists. Their accounts were also suspended, allegedly for violating Twitter's terms of service. There have been a number of indie journal outlets, and it seems to be the ones that I've come across are, I guess you would call them sort of on the anti-authoritarian or side of things. Groups like IDG or Crime Think, they've been banned. Smaller, I guess the smaller indie outlets. The one thing that the bigger outlets can do is they have a larger audience. They could write. They have editors that could make phone calls, but the smaller ones I think have less resources to do that. And then this is sort of culminated with a new set of policies. Twitter calls it the Promotion of Alternative Social Platforms Policy. We'll put a link to this in the description too, but this is a brand new policy from Twitter. Basically, it prohibits users from linking to other social media platforms. So prohibited ones specifically include Facebook, Instagram, Mastodon, Truth Social, Tribal Post, and Nostr, or some link aggregators. But basically, the kind of thing that you're not allowed to say on Twitter is, "Oh, follow me at such and such on Instagram," or "check out my profile on Facebook." So this is now grounds for having your Twitter account suspended. And as having heard this, I have sort of been going through the list of accounts that I follow, finding the ones that mention alternate social media platforms, and just where can I follow them when the whale fails, I guess. But for the person who was sort of really gung ho on free speech, the idea of and I think it has even publicly said that a strong platform will even my I seem to remember a tweet from Elon saying that even his critics will be able to post on Twitter, but we're finding that's not the case. And even someone who talks about not wanting to go to, wanting to explore other social networks is, well, they're not allowed to do that either. I don't know. Thoughts, guys?
Yeah, I mean, my basic thought is that if you're in a hole, stop digging. And it seems to be every day, every other day, there's a new off the cuff decision that comes down from on high, that flies in the face of all the things that he said he wanted to bring to Twitter. I guess apparently, the website of some white nationalist / Nazi fascist guy is back up. But at the same time, as you point out, CrimeThink and other Antifa sites have been taken down. I mean, ultimately, you need to find whatever home you feel comfortable in, and that could be on Mastodon, and that could be on other places, because you can't rely on the whims of a billionaire.
He's, one of the things that, one of the impressions I've sort of gotten is that Twitter under Elon is a lot like the presidency under our 45th president, where it was just like one drama show after another, after another, after another, ad nauseum. And, and, I don't get it.
I mean, it's not like Musk is a supporter of Antifa, right? So, if anything, he seems to be sending Q memes and other right wing stuff. So, that he's taking a page out of the Trump playbook doesn't surprise me. Go on. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say there's some other related Twitter things that are probably notable. I gather that the company owes close to $200,000 in back rent, which they apparently are not paying for or no longer seem to be interested in paying for their office space. And I also hear that they've run afoul of San Francisco's building inspectors department. I don't know, Jamie, do you want to say a word or two about that?
Sure. I mean, Musk has said he believes his employees, maybe developers, IT people, need to be hardcore. And apparently, hardcore is working 80 hours a week. And that's a lot easier if you're sleeping at work. So he seems to be setting up sleeping accommodations, and that's illegal in San Francisco. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. I mean,
isn't that slave labor?
no. I mean, that's rabid, awful startup culture. I mean,
Yeah,
I wouldn't
yeah.
say it's slave. You're still being paid. You're just what you were paid before is basically on an hourly basis half what it was. And you have no life, and there's no upside because you don't have any stock since he owns the company. So I don't see, the folks who are there are basically, they're either doing it out of the kindness of their hearts, or they're H-1B visa folks from other countries and have difficulty finding a job in the 60 days I think that you would have to find a new job. I mean, the other thing that I heard was they're thinking about not paying severance that they said they were going to pay. And I'm just like, sure, that seems like another thing, when Musk went and called a guy, the scuba diver who was helping to save a bunch of kids caught in a tunnel, pedophile. I mean, it was basically, yeah, okay, sue me. So I wouldn't be surprised if he went and decided to let people sue him in a class action lawsuit in order to, get their severance.
Yeah, the bit about sleeping quarters is probably interesting depending on how much of a stickler San Francisco's code enforcement is. Because typically in an office building, it's, there was a permit issued for it for an office use, and a residential use is something completely different. In Massachusetts, a building inspector can basically revoke your right to occupy that building.
So can a landlord if you haven't paid them.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, going back into the story about the person who saved a bunch of kids, that man was a hero. Like that actually claimed the life of a special forces guy, and it was, I believe, a guy out of England who flew all the way over to another country to rescue that high school, and they were able to actually successfully get them out. Cave diving is one of the most dangerous things on the face of the planet, and he did it not only to success, but he did it to success, trained the kids and got them out. So that is a huge slap in the face. I hope Elon gets hit with that.
Yeah, and he managed to get out of that with the shitposting defense. Oh, no one would believe what I said on Twitter is reality, so I don't have to go and pay damages to him in a libel lawsuit. And he, he's like, he got through that. I mean, so one of his justifications for saying, oh, I'm going to take down this site or whatever is that now Twitter is a publisher. And since they're a publisher, they can go and decide what is there or not. And which is kind of against Section 230 because it does allow moderation, but you're not considered a publisher the way we would, the New York Times or Simon and Schuster if they're not renamed some other agglomeration. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I thought it was telling for the social media sites that both YouTube and TikTok aren't mentioned. I kind of feel that they're rather big enough that he doesn't want to antagonize them. But, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, wouldn't Google be like one of the ones he doesn't want to make mad?
Probably. I mean, if Google wanted to, they could be like, yeah, we're not sending any traffic to you. Although that has other implications for them, right? oh, sorry, it was a technical thing. We thought your robots file says you didn't want to send anything, didn't want us to index your website. So, well, you know, not that I'm advocating for that. Yeah, I mean, one thing I will say, getting off of the Twitter for a moment, is how important your privacy is. And so one of the things we do is we do trainings for folks if they want to find out how to protect their privacy. And, you know, before COVID, we did a lot more of those than we've done now. But, you know, we are quite eager to do that as things get better, and certainly online. But you know, like this thing came across, you know, the FTC banned a company called SpyPhone and its parent company Support King that had spyware that, you know, stalkerware, and all they did was rename it SpyTrack, and they're back in business. And so not, you know, if your lover goes and gives you a phone, wipe it and or don't accept it. Like, never accept a phone from your lover. That would be my recommendation. Get your own phone, because you don't know if they're not gonna. You don't know if they're gonna put malware on it, or spyware on it to keep tabs on where you go and who you see. So.
And with that, sorry, go ahead, Jamie.
No, please. I think that's more than enough.
Yeah, I think with that, we all hope that you have a very happy holiday. Definitely like, share, and subscribe with us. Sign up for the mailing list. Jamie puts a lot of work into those, and we appreciate when they come through. And, you know, and we're always, again, we're looking for candidates. We're looking for more help with us doing our work here and making sure that we keep on moving forward, fight the good fight, and do what's right. So, gentlemen, thank you so much.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank you. Thank you very much, Joe and Steve. Take care, folks. Happy holidays. And we're done.
All right.